The state, the county, the city. From Governor DeWine to the county executive and the mayor, the new information we're getting on what can open and when.
I mean, when you're vague, we have to come to our own conclusions.
Gyms and retail shops are all set to go. We talked to anxious owners who are ready to get back to business even without guidelines from the governor. And don't try this at home. The warnings about fighting coronavirus with cleaning products and sunlight.
I anticipate other people are looking at their calendar both in the spring and in the fall and making adjustments.
Out early, one school district already announcing plans to end the year weeks ahead of schedule. The superintendent explains why he likely won't be alone. And draft day. Voice of the Browns, Jim Donovan, talks about how the team did in the first round and what to expect tonight.
From the WKYC studios, this is What Matters Most.
Today, we learned there are 15,169 cases of coronavirus in the state of Ohio. To give you some sort of an idea, over the last 7 days, you can see we've added around 5,000 cases. That means 1/3 of all of Ohio's coronavirus cases have been diagnosed within the last week. That number is likely much lower than the actual number of Ohio cases because we just don't have enough test kits. But now there is a plan to fix that.
We have experienced a shortage of swabs in Ohio, and really what we've been able to do is to come up with an Ohio solution to this.
Good evening and welcome to What Matters Most. I'm Jay Crawford, joining you from home tonight.
And I'm Betsy Kling from the WKYC studios. Russ and Laura are off this evening. We begin tonight with a plan that will boost Ohio's coronavirus testing capabilities quickly. Governor DeWine announced today that Rowe Dental Labs in Independence has committed to bringing back some of its workforce in order to start making a very important part of test kits. Andrew Horansky is live to explain. Andrew?
Good evening to you. Certainly an exercise in ingenuity and in teamwork here in Ohio. I can tell you this lot at Rowe normally would be full because about 200 people work here. Many of them, though, have been furloughed, and taking a live look tonight, you can see the impact of that. But I can tell you it is about to change here because starting tomorrow, this lab, which has been making facial implants for dentists, will be switching gears. Instead, they are going to be making swabs to test for COVID on their 3D printers, which they have here. The CEO tells me that 2 big companies so far have been making these swabs, but they're in Italy and there and in Maine, which simply doesn't have the capacity for the need, and that the material that they use here is actually very similar to what they use in these guides that they use to produce for surgeries that go into people's mouths before they make implants. That's the same type of material for these swabs. So, starting tomorrow, they'll be bringing people back.
We realize the same technology that we have for printing dental applications can be used for medical applications. And we had a lot of capacity with our equipment. We're starting to make them right now, and we'll be able to make 10 to 15,000 per day starting tomorrow.
And today, Governor DeWine gave a shout out to Kowalski, who you saw there, who tonight, talking to us, gave a shout out to the Ohio Manufacturing Alliance, Betsy, saying that if it wasn't for them, they wouldn't have quite had the same connection so quickly between businesses and the state. So a lot of love going around, a lot of teamwork that really is pulling some big things off.
There's some incredible innovation happening here around Northeast Ohio. 10 to 15,000 swabs a day. That's incredible. We really are excited about that.
That's right.
Thanks, Andrew. Great story. Well, Governor DeWine will start laying out the plan to reopen Ohio on Monday. Hospitals and non-essential medical procedures may be among the first things to get back to business. And the plan is to also get as many people working safely as possible. But it won't happen overnight, and businesses are making their own plans. Here's Tiffany Tarpley.
The community comes first, and I think if you can't, support the safety of the community, then maybe you can't open right away.
As of now, are you moving forward as if you are opening on May 1st?
Yes.
Mike Soster owns Functions of Life in Broadview Heights, a 15,000 square feet open air gym.
We don't have machinery and we don't have memberships. It's you come and you do personal training, small group sessions, fitness classes, sports performance.
While nothing is set in stone yet here in Ohio, the federal government's guidelines for states does include gyms in phase 1 if they adhere to strict physical distancing and sanitation protocols. Soster says class sizes of normally 4 to 5 will be cut in half, and there won't be overlapping of equipment. Deep cleaning is also being done. Akron area state representative Tavia Golansky is on the Ohio House Economic Recovery Task Force. Lawmakers have been hearing from small business owners, franchisees, and employees.
Some of the testimony that we've heard at the task force, which is please open up Ohio immediately and do it all at once on May 1st.
She doesn't believe that will happen, and she still has concerns about a lack of personal protective equipment and testing.
I hear the desperation, I hear the concern, but I just don't believe that we're ready.
Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory at Crocker Park in Westlake plans to open more than just 2 days a week when May 1st rolls around and continue to practice social distancing.
People get out more, and the confidence in general is increased. I think we'll start seeing a gradual increase in business.
So as of right now, we are just waiting on Governor Mike DeWine to give more information on what it's going to look like when the state reopens, or at least partially reopens on May 1st. We should get that information on Monday. In the meantime, there are some small business owners who are concerned they won't be in the first phase. Tiffany Tarpley, 3 News.
Tiffany, thank you. Cleveland Mayor Frank Jackson held a special news conference via telephone a short time ago. In it, he said he's waiting to see Governor DeWine's plan on Monday before making any decisions on the impact that will have on Cleveland. He also said because of careful planning, there won't be any city worker layoffs for the time being.
We do not have an immediate plan to lay off anyone, whether they're a custodian or waste collector, a fireman, a policeman, or EMS. There's no plan for that right now to actually do that. That does not mean that we're not going to be prudent and look at this as this goes on and looking at the revenues coming in and what our costs are and what the reserves are.
Cuyahoga County's government relies on sales tax to pay for things like foster care and the county jail, and it's planning for a big economic hit. Mark Namick reports on the potential losses and what they may mean for some popular publicly funded projects.
Progressive Field, Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, the Convention Center and related hotel, publicly funded projects downtown that rely on crowds to generate tax dollars that help pay their bills and others. With the economy stalled and a slow restart to begin next week, these projects are now generating questions about their financial health and that of the landlord, Cuyahoga County.
We've got the Convention Center. Part of that's paid by the taxes. We're expecting a potential loss of $10 million on the hotel that normally we would get. The hotel's empty, virtually.
Budish also planning for a loss of up to 20% in revenue from the county sales tax.
We're not going to wait for 2, 3, 4, 6 months until we see what the actual hit is. We got to start now, because it'll be a lot harder down the road if we haven't done anything and it turns out our 20 or 25% is right.
He's also not ruling out potential layoffs. The county building remains closed, but as it reopens, it will look like other businesses where social distancing rules apply.
Public officials, including the mayor, are reluctant to speculate on what downtown will look like next week when the economy begins to restart. But they all seem to agree on one thing, that downtown isn't going to look much different than it does right now, at least initially. Reporting from Cleveland, Mark Namick, 3 News.
Well, something that is impacting thousands of families in Northeast Ohio. We know students won't be physically headed back to the classroom this school year. And now one local school district has made the decision to cut the school year by 13 days. Brandon Simmons tells us where it's happening and if others may follow suit.
It was a big decision to make. We were slated to end school on June 11th. We started later than most districts.
Like districts around the country, distance learning is the new norm for students at Revere local schools, a switch that has taken a toll on administrators, teachers, and students alike.
I'm on phone calls with superintendents across the state and nation on a regular basis, and every single district I talk to is doing their very best to meet the needs of students during these times.
And just days after state leaders decided to keep school buildings closed for the school year, Superintendent Matthew Montgomery and the Revere Local School Board made the decision to cut the year short, considering a number of factors in the process.
When you think of the last week of school on a typical year, it's filled with exams, it's filled with field days, parties, movies.
He also noted there weren't as many snow days as usual this year. and that parents, in some cases, are being asked to manage working at home while assisting their children with schoolwork. But the extra days off won't be wasted. Teachers and administrators will review how well distance learning is working and prepare for next school year in case students aren't allowed to return in the fall.
I know that we need days as a leader to work collaboratively with our teachers to improve our craft, to put our district in the very best place possible for our students' success.
And other districts may follow suit.
I anticipate other people are looking at their calendar both in the spring and in the fall and making adjustments.
I'm Brandon Simmons, 3 News.
President Donald Trump now says he was being sarcastic yesterday when he suggested doctors research injecting or ingesting disinfectants during his news conference yesterday. Should anyone actually take the president literally, the manufacturer of Lysol issued a warning today saying that disinfectant products like Lysol should under no circumstances be injected or ingested. While several clinical trials are underway, so far there are no proven treatments for the coronavirus. More on this tonight on NBC Nightly News beginning at 6:30. Well, it was a big night for the Cleveland Browns last night. They got their man, their left tackle, and tonight the Browns will look to add some more talent when they have 3 picks combined in rounds 2 and 3. Voice of the Browns, Jimmy Donovan, joins us now. Jimmy, it looks like tonight defense should rule the day for the Browns.
Yeah, I think so, Jay. It's pretty obvious right now that the Browns have to go to the other side of the ball because in free agency, they got it done on the offensive side. And certainly last night, solving a long problem, or at least the long problem since Joe Thomas retired, and that was left tackle. But tonight, they need to go defense, safety, linebacker, but they might skip over to the offensive side and get a wide receiver too. But back to last night. The most important issue on the board was that the Browns come up with a tackle, and I think a lot of us worried that maybe the Browns would try and fool around with the pick, maybe move around in the draft, maybe trade down and try and accumulate picks rather than staying right in there and serving the need of getting the left tackle, and that's exactly what they did. It was a logical pick, it was a great pick, and it's Jedrick Wills out of the University of Alabama, who the Browns say, and they told Wills this, he was their number 1 tackle on the board all the while, all the build-up to the draft. He was the guy they wanted.
So that was something that I preached on because I firmly believe that I was. And with them believing in me and kind of expressing their feelings about that, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel welcomed, and I'm going to prove them right.
So he's played a lot at Alabama, but he's played right tackle at Alabama. Now he'll make the shift and go over to left tackle, and he'll have a tutor that will help him out. Former Browns left tackle, future Hall of Famer Joe Thomas, he told Wills as the Browns got set to pick him, hey, I'm here to help you all the way. And the Browns have a great offensive line coach, too, Bill Callahan, that will make him make the move much easier over to left tackle. Jay, tonight, the first priority would be, I think, to get a safety. The Browns are on the clock in the second round at pick number 41, and there are a lot of talented safeties on the board.
Should be a good linebacker available, too, when they come around again in the third round. And by the way, Joe Thomas, a pretty good tutor. I think he's in very good hands. Jimmy, thanks. We'll see you later in sports.
You got it.
Well, still to come, lights out. Hollywood's booming business in Cleveland is dark for now. What the film industry may look like here once things open back up. And we're also looking ahead to the forecast. Has some rain in it, especially later in the weekend, but that doesn't mean we don't have sunshine now. We'll talk about that whole forecast outlook straight ahead.
What Matters Most is sponsored by the Calvetta Brothers Floor Show. It's time to fall in love again with your home.
Welcome back. Before the pandemic hit, Cleveland's film industry was thriving. Then COVID-19 forced filmmakers to hit the pause button. So what could things look like once we get back up and running? Here's Will Ewick.
Unfortunately, the brakes were put on because you have to think of all the other industries that are impacted just to crew a film. And if the vendors aren't able to work, a production isn't able to work.
Just like everything else, the booming film industry in Cleveland has come to a halt during the coronavirus.
We had a Netflix film that was in the middle of its 5-day shoot, and then we had a Lionsgate film that was prepping to shoot here that was actually supposed to start next week, and they had to go on a hold.
The good news, Miller says that Lionsgate film is planning to come back. Not only that, with Ohio's current situation compared to other states, there are plenty of other projects calling as well.
We've been fielding calls from different studios calling about everything from pilots to series, studio films, who've said they do have concerns about what it's going to be to open up business in New York and LA, and that it could be significantly slower than states like us, where things have been controlled a little bit more.
But what are local production crews, producers, and actors doing until then? Well, if you're just trying to keep your filming and creativity skills sharp, the 48-Hour Film Project is hosting a stay-at-home competition where you make a short film without ever leaving your house and using a crew of whoever you're stuck at home with.
That's you. So you film what you have. You know, if your kids and your wife are all that you have at home, that's your crew. You have a genre, you have a line, you have a character. You have to write, film, edit, and turn in your film all in 48 hours.
Next up, the organization is doing a script competition for high schoolers with a feature script and other contests to follow.
Right now, we don't know what's going to happen because of this whole coronavirus. This is the first time this has ever happened. So we're trying to come up with creative ways to keep this going.
And when major filming finally does resume, Miller hopes that all the interest from producers will turn into not just more movies, but to more jobs.
Our industry can get a lot of people back to work, not just those who've been in it, but people whose jobs might not be there when they get back.
Will Ewick.
There are a myriad of jobs that people can have that can get them back to work sooner rather than later.
3 News.
Will, thank you very much. Well, one of the things that some will have to do without, high school seniors, their last semester in school with their friends, and we're trying to honor as many high school seniors as we can. If you know one that needs a little recognition, submit their non-professional photo, name and school, and we'll use as many on air and online to give them a little shout out. Go to WKYC.com/senior shoutouts. Now here's Betsy with the weather. Bets?
Well, the forecast is certainly going to be looking up and up, at least over the next few hours. We do have beautiful blue skies overhead. Not a whole lot of cloud cover around. We'll stay mostly clear as we get into the overnight hours. Temperatures fading back into the 40s as we get into the early morning. And we are expecting to see the possibility of more clouds as we go through the day tomorrow. My clicker has decided that it does not want to work anymore, so I'm going to have to go over here and have a little discussion with our computer right quick. Boom, there we go. Come on, baby. Oh, okay. Well, maybe it's just going to lock up on me altogether. There we go. Come on. Okay, it's coming. There we go. Reboot, and let's roll. Temperatures, as I mentioned, back into the 40s. Here we go. Big picture shows rain, showers, thunderstorms, clouds all out to the west of us. This whole big rotating mess is going to slide through the Ohio Valley. As it does so, the spin, okay, stay with me. The spin will bring heavy rain showers into our area by Saturday night and then cooler air into our area by the time we get into Sunday. So let's focus on the now, focus on that positive, that beautiful blue sky that we mentioned, and temperatures that aren't too terrible. We've got 50s now along the lakeshore, 60s farther to the south. We'll have another day tomorrow where it's cooler north rather than the areas farther south. A look ahead on your National Design Mart hour-by-hour forecast keeps us in the 40s through the midnight hour with partly cloudy skies. We will have a partly cloudy start to your day tomorrow. Temperatures near 40 at daybreak. By afternoon then, with a little sunshine helping us out, the temperatures are going to be moving on up. We're going to be close to 50 along the lakeshore. Remember, the lake's cooling influence is prevalent when we have a north wind. And then we're going to see those temperatures closer to 60 by midday down south. Temperatures may even get upper 60s for you friends down in Millersburg, Dover, and Carrollton by the time we hit the afternoon. Meanwhile, up here along the lakeshore, we're still stuck at about 50 degrees or so. So if you're kind of in the middle, you know, you'll probably be sitting in the 50s. But once you get farther south, we get away from that lake influence and it warms up nicely. All right, here comes the rain. It's moving in from south to north as we head through Saturday night. We'll have periods of potentially heavy rain, especially Sunday morning. Then the storm system begins to move away Sunday afternoon. That unleashes some chilly air and we're stuck right at about 50 degrees as we go through the day on Sunday. So it's a give and take. Universal Windows Direct Forecast has us close to 60 tomorrow, but again, cooler lakeshore, warmer farther south. We'll have about 50 or so on Sunday, kind of a cool and drizzly day. Yuck. But we'll see some sunshine on Monday. And then temperatures get back into the 60s as we get into next week. A little unsettled with some shower chances dancing around and even a chance for a few thunderstorms on Wednesday. Jimmy's up next with a look at rounds 2 and 3 of the NFL draft and some of the options the Browns may be mulling over.
This This sports report is sponsored by the people-pleasing people at Sarah Auto Park in Akron.
Hi, everybody. Your sports headlines on this Friday night. We get set for rounds 2 and 3 in the NFL draft, but boy, we were all smiling about round 1 last night for the Browns. They finally solved the problem they've had at tackle since the great Joe Thomas retired. And here's the answer, they believe. Jedrick Wills out of the University of Alabama. They scooted to the podium to give the card to Roger Goodell in his basement to make the announcement that Wills would be a Cleveland Brown. And then Wills, who's going to make the shift from right tackle to left tackle, got a message from the future Hall of Famer Joe Thomas. If you need help, I'm here.
Just hit me up on Twitter DM, and just told me that he had a talk with Andrew Berry. Just told me that he really liked my game, et cetera, et cetera. And then after just now, he just gave me his number. It was like, call me sometime if you ever need any pointers. He knew I was going to be playing left tackle, so if I needed any pointers on tips and videos or things like that, he'd just be there to help me out.
Boy, Joe Thomas, a Brown forever, I'll tell you. Okay. We're going shopping tonight. I think we need a safety right away, probably a linebacker and a wide receiver. Now, a lot of great safeties on the board as we stand right now. Here's one of them. At the beginning of the college football season, Grant Delpit out of LSU was figured to be the best safety in the country. He had an injury early in this year, so he struggled after that. But by the end of the year, he was playing really well, very talented on that national championship LSU defense. And then there's this kid out of Alabama. I mean, do we go 2 for 2? Are we going to roll Tide roll once again? I mean, we got Wills last night. How about this kid? Not right now. He's figured to be one of the best safeties in the country. Xavier McKinney out of Alabama. Big hitter, can come up and play in the box, as they say, up on the line of scrimmage. Those will be some of the choices. And a kid from a smaller school from Southern Illinois. Remember the name Jeremy Chin. He could be the guy. So the Browns go 1 pick in the round number 2, 2 in round number 3. Betsy and Jay, 15.6 million viewers last night for the NFL draft.
Record.
We're desperate. That's all it says. All right, Jimmy, thank you so much. We'll be catching up with you and Sarah tonight on Front Row starting at 7 o'clock. But for now, I guess Jay and I get to sign off for the weekend. Have a great weekend, everybody. And you too, Jay.
You too.
I'll be back
Bye-bye.
tonight at 11. We'll see you then.